Today we're going to go over what we would determine to be section 4 of our workouts, or how we structure our programs. This is considered the weights portion, but as you read in the description, we don't necessarily always use weight training, and not every athlete needs to. Not every athlete is ready to or capable of. And yes, we do work with a lot of younger athletes who simply aren't ready for the demands of adding extra weight to their frame. What do I mean by that? Not everyone is under control with their body to where putting extra weight puts their body at an increased risk of injury. Remember, the first thing you have to do with athletes as they start their training is make sure they master the movements. Then, once they master the movements, now you can start adding weight if and only if their structure is sound enough foundationally, meaning is their strength level where it needs to be to start adding weight. Case in point, push-ups, okay? Chest, your pecs. We hear it all the time from athletes. I want to start bench pressing because it's a yardstick exercise of how strong you are. People measure up against themselves, and if you walk into the gym or you start talking fitness, the first question most people ask is, how much do you bench? Okay, it just is what it is. So, are you gonna start benching day number 1? Well, you're gonna cause injury or likely increase the risk of injury if you're not able to control the bar and you're kind of here and it's wobbling and you're unsure where to hit, you're unsure, is it here, is it across your neck? All of those are a problem, okay? We've found we don't really start using barbell bench press until they can get 10 solid, perfect form push-ups, because we're starting to learn where the hands need to be for a good push-up, where the elbows need to be, okay? How we control our descent, how we control our up phase. And then yes, the barbell actually arches a little bit, but if you're doing push-ups properly, you actually get a slight forward-backward movement, very, very slight. So there is a little bit of an arching, okay? All of that said, we don't need to jump into strength training or weighted strength training if they're not ready, okay? So, having said all that, this is the part where we start to introduce our base level movements. And what are our base level movements? Okay? We have squat, base level movement, sitting down is a squat. Lunge, stepping forward and grabbing something is a lunge. We have rotational movements. Okay? We have a hip hinge, which is part of a squat, but when the hips get back and come forward, that's a hinge. Okay? Carrying stuff is called carries. A lot of times it's used in the form of a farmer walk, but athletes need to be strong grip, strong structure. So the heavier weight that you can move with and still carry safely, great exercise. Many different variations of farmer walk / carries. Anytime you're pushing something, those are presses. Anytime you're pulling, we have pulls, okay? So, those are our base level movements. We start with those because essentially, for lack of a better description, they're the movements of our lives, okay? Everything that we do in real world has some form of those movements. So we start small, start slow, and start building the foundation that allows them to then get into other exercises, most likely a variation of those movements. A leg press, for example, is a variation of a squat, okay? For the most part, our sport-specific programming is designed around the movements of those sport, meaning we might add in more jumping-based movements if it's a jumping sport. We might add in more upper body explosive movements if it's a powerful upper body exercise or sport like football, okay? Strong shoulders for rebounding and holding, shoulder movements for overhead sports like volleyball and softball, baseball. What the demand of it is will determine how the program works. Now, remember, especially with beginners, anything they do, as long as they're done safely, or they do them safely, better grammar, is going to have benefit. Safety being key number one. All right? So whether you should do this or you should do this, a little bit to determine by your brain power as the coach or parent to say, what is the best optimal use of my limited time and resources to get them from here to where they need to be maximally. Doing a bunch of random things would take it from here to here. Are they better? Yes. Okay? Doing a skill set development, periodized, that's a horrible enunciation of that, periodization usage of linear progression will get them from here to here. Okay? Case in point example. If you're doing football, running long distances is probably not the best use of your time. So volleyball, as an example, is a really truly 3-step sport. If you're not getting to the ball in 3 to 4 steps, depending on the length of your strike, you're probably not getting there. It's not a long distance running sport. Okay, so running 2 miles will serve a benefit, but not as much as 10 powerful explosive jumps. Okay? Jumping sport, work on jumping. Work on your vertical ability. Okay? The running long distances will get you a foundational ability of well-rounded aerobic conditioning. And maybe if you need to drop a few pounds, it would help you to lose a couple of pounds of weight. But it's not going to serve the most maximal benefit to get your vertical from here to here, or to take your athletic explosiveness from here to here. Okay? It might take it from here to here just because you're in better shape overall. You may weigh a couple pounds less too, which will help. But you're not athletically as proficient working on your maximal vertical jump through exercises like box jumps, Olympic lifting, snatches and cleans, kettlebell swings, which mimics the almost exactly perfect form of a hinge. So if we're talking hinges, we're talking jumps. Hinge, so swings, kettlebell swings are a perfect example of a hinge. Squats, quarter squats for power. All of those are great exercises to maximize the benefit for the sport. You're gonna get in great shape when you're strength training properly for the sport. You generally don't see too many out of shape in-season athletes. Yes, they're around and they generally get pointed out because it's like, how do you show up? How do you miss this opportunity to be at your best? All right? So, part 4 of our programs are specifically tailored around the needs of the sport, whether they're in-season, preseason, or off-season. Age of the athlete. A 10-year-old kid does not need to be doing the same program as an 18-year-old. That doesn't mean that the specifics are that varied, but they are going to be varied. At 10 years old, we're not going for 1 rep max. We're establishing that foundation of base level, okay? An 18-year-old can be going for max power. They've established with them the foundational needs. So program accordingly based on where they're currently at. Yeah, you have the end goal in mind, but you have to get there first with the proper programming. All right? So, to recap, know the needs of the sport and the athlete. Know the current ability of the athlete. Program intelligently so you're maximizing their time with you and your program. Don't do anything just to do it. Make it make sense. All right? Do those things and you're probably ahead of the game. All right? Working your way towards being a better athlete. That's all we have for today. I'm Spencer Aiken with the Stronger Together Performance Academy. Remember, if you do have any questions, please just drop us a note here, leave us a comment, leave us a like. You can answer your questions through the group page, and we will answer them directly, which will help even more coaches and parents get better. So if you're having questions, you're not quite sure, just post away on this group, and we'll help answer those questions to help even more coaches out there, coaches and parents. All right.